Recently, everyone in China is talking about releasing water. Let's talk about this topic again today. Let's not talk about economics, but just use the simplest logic in life to help everyone understand why release the water. It seems to have less and less effect. First of all, I want to talk about the truth that has been said repeatedly. The bank is releasing money. It's not about making money directly. Then everyone lined up to go to the bank to collect. But mainly through two ways. First, let rich people take out loans. Why is the emphasis here on the rich? Because there is a basic premise in bank loans: collateral. China has no collateral. You can get consumer loans worth tens of thousands of dollars at most. Consumer loan. It also depends on your workplace and bank statements. It would be almost impossible if it were bigger. So you can get a big loan. Basically, they are all very rich themselves. They mortgage their assets. Then, after borrowing the money, you can make other investments. Ordinary people in this life, the biggest loan you can take on, maybe it's the mortgage. Actually, China. Just take the house you just acquired to the bank as a mortgage, then give you a loan. Rich people often own more than one house, and not through individuals, but through companies. Then more people can be loaned out like this. Maybe my friends think, how can lending money to rich people stimulate the economy? In fact, it was indeed possible before. After all, you have to pay back the loan in the future, right? So, rich people get loans. The first reaction is to think about how to invest and make some money in the future. In a few years, the money from the bank will be returned with interest, and we are also making some money. In the past, it was not as curly as it is now. First, can we engage in foreign trade? Invest in building a factory. Find a bunch of workers, sell the products you produce to earn US dollars. The money earned was divided among the workers. The rest is still. There's still a lot left after taking it out of the bank. This is how money flows from top to bottom. Loans for the rich. Ordinary people get a salary. In this way, everyone gets the dividends brought by releasing water. Workers have money. Are you going to eat? Do you want to marry a wife and buy a house? So everyone took loans from banks to build houses. Go and open a restaurant. Do the people have any other needs? So, Milk Tea Werewolf Bar takeout is now available. Gradually, the service industry absorbs far more manpower than the manufacturing industry. Of course, not only the rich can get loans. The government itself can also, but it's more complicated. Because the government cannot directly lend money, it needs to put a shell on the city head. For example, if a local government wants to build infrastructure and wants to build a road, what to do if it has no money? Establish an urban investment company. Put the local canteen into this company. Then we went to the bank and used the canteen as our base. Borrow money to build roads. Wait until the road makes money in the future, and then pay back the money from the bank. Is this a road construction? You have to hire workers. I need to buy reinforced concrete. Behind the steel and concrete are workers. The funds for this infrastructure have also been converted into wages for ordinary people. Where is the water from the bank? It rained on ordinary people like this. Everyone can see it, right? Bank loans. People in society have jobs. There are hotels, houses, and roads in some sense. This is why China's economy boomed in the past few years. At that time, China had many social opportunities. What about the loan from the bank? Always make more money. After you make money, you can then take out a loan. Invest in hiring more people. The economy is improving. Annual growth rate of more than 8%. Looking back at the earliest driving force for economic development in the past 40 years. In fact, it is the foreign trade after joining the WTO. Purchasing power injected from outside. So what's happening now? Well, there are fewer and fewer projects that can make money. In other words, the purchasing power is getting lower and lower. First is foreign trade. China joined the WTO, and now the world market is open to China. It is too cheap to add Chinese manpower. Almost as much as China produces can be sold. Back then, business owners took their money from the bank, then bought equipment and recruited people to engage in foreign trade to make money. They would borrow more money, continuously expanding production. China's production capacity is rising exponentially, but we can also feel it with common sense, the state itself. Isn't it possible that this can go on forever? Isn't this the problem that finally occurred in the past 2 years? The market that can be occupied now is basically almost the same. China's foreign trade exports account for about 15% of the world's total. It is estimated that this scale is unlikely to continue to expand significantly. In other words, there is not much room for expansion. Western countries used to believe in globalization, but everyone witnessed it. The Germans were controlled by Russia with pain after the bad luck. Began to deliberately reduce dependence on China. In fact, the matter of becoming dependent has already started. It's just that it's never been shown openly. After the Russo-Ukrainian War, don't become politically correct by relying on a certain country. Western countries are now discussing openly. For example, the United States' largest trading partner is Mexico. Europe has also transferred a large amount of production capacity to Soviet Eastern Europe Valley. Labor is cheap there. There are also water tariff concessions within the EU. Turkey's foreign trade has developed particularly rapidly in the past 2 years. We talked about it in the last episode. India requires companies to try to build factories in India. Otherwise, heavy taxes will be levied. Many companies in our country have gone. I just searched. BYD is also making plans. These are not obvious for now. The long-term effects will definitely become more and more obvious. Globalization is transitioning to regionalization. Everyone should hear it. Our foreign trade is not doing well this year. I checked the data. It's not because of industrial transfer. Industrial transfer takes a long time. It's not obvious yet. The biggest problem now. Or is it the weakening of the global economy caused by the US dollar interest rate hike? Why does the dollar raise interest rates? Will it lead to a weakening of the global economy? My previous show. Why rise in US? Dollar interest rates will help many countries. As for China, it was explained clearly in this program. If China is interested, China can take a look. US dollar interest rate hike. On the one hand, it has brought the world's economy into the water. This indirectly shows that the US dollar is still very strong. In addition, many countries have also raised interest rates due to the US dollar. We ran out of foreign exchange. The people of those countries, even if you imagine China buying products, now there is no US dollar and foreign exchange cannot be traded. I guess I'll have to wait until the second half of the year or next year to get better. Add this to the fact that this year suddenly there will be no domestic consumption. Now China's banks lend money to wealthy individuals, but lacks of purchasing power. There is a shortage of rich people overseas and at home, but even those with money dare not invest. Followed by, the government's own investment rate of return is also getting smaller and smaller. For example, early investment in a high-speed rail between Beijing and Shanghai could result in quick profits and the recouping of investment. The usage rate is high, making it a promising venture for China. Projects with strong profitability have already been seen. Other projects in remote areas may have the few people using them, resulting in little or no profitability. It would take hundreds of years to recoup the investment. But the problem is whether it is high-speed or high-speed rail. All require a lot of money to maintain. Maybe the money earned every year is not enough to maintain it. The government has to continue to allocate funds or loans every year. To maintain these funds, after infrastructure construction is completed, we will become more and more cautious because for many local governments, building another road may not only fail to increase revenue, but it may also become a burden. Besides, the urban investment bonds are now $65 trillion. If China borrows it again, China will almost be unable to pay it back. At this point, China is very clear. Why did releasing water in the past stimulate consumption? Because the starting point was low before, market prospects. People both abroad and at home are willing to consume. There are always profitable projects to invest in. So when you send money, it will turn into a physical project. Further absorb labor. Purchasing power at home and abroad has been weakening in the past 2 years. Abroad, the depression is caused by rising interest rates on the US dollar. Domestically, It's because consumption is suddenly weak. No one spends money anymore. So after the bank issues the money is stuck in the upper levels and cannot come down. There's no way to convert it to that industrial capital that will employ many people. So, I started speculating on assets repeatedly. Adding water will have no effect. Not only that, but it will also lead to inflation for the rich and deflation for the poor. Wealthy individuals go to the bank to get money. There's nothing wrong with getting the money. After all, the appearance is poor. Then open a restaurant. A sea of red. What can be done? I can't do anything after thinking about it. Why don't you buy a house and check it out? This is what rich people think. So they all buy the ones that are relatively scarce in first-tier cities, large single-story mansions. So it's funny. The economy is not very good. First-tier luxury properties have seen a huge increase. I asked about it these 2 days. Many luxury houses in the Chang district increased by more than $10 million in less than 2 years. You know, this is during the epidemic. Unbelievable. But the problem is China. Rich people don't invest in factories and don't start operations. What do workers earn? The answer is that it is indeed difficult to make money recently. Everyone can see it, right? Lack of purchasing power is the root of all problems today. Nothing yet. The most terrifying thing is the situation in Japan. People live and die without spending money. That is to say, people have money, but they keep it in the bank and don't spend it. Purchasing power is not there. The whole market is in depression. Chinese people just don't spend money. Save if you can, causing housing prices to plummet. The economy is also in shambles, and the Japanese government has been threatening to start printing money for the past 30 years, diluting people's wealth. It depends on whether one spends money or not, even bringing the interest rate to zero. Actually, it's not really a zero interest rate, but very, very low. I checked. The annual interest rate on deposits is 0.003%. Such a low interest rate. See if you still save money. And the interest rate is so low. How much loan money can we spend? How about buying a house? But unscrupulous people will not spend money if they don't get enough food and salt. No loan even if I die. Love so much. America gives money to people. People spend too much money. Inflation is quite high. The Chinese government is dying of inflation. Also give money to the people. People deposit all their money in banks. Just don't spend it. The embarrassing thing about China now is that the infrastructure has been completed, and there is nothing to be seen if it is rebuilt. A large number of marginal areas were abandoned. The infrastructure there is also abandoned. Aging and low birth rate led to extremely low social desire. No one consumes. Sluggish domestic demand. Foreign trade has never been very good either. Completely defeated by the rise of China and South Korea. Japanese transnational capital is doing quite well overseas, but that money is for the Japanese people. It doesn't matter. The most important thing for China next is just to avoid becoming like Japan. Is there any way? I don't think it's a big deal, our countrymen. As long as the environment is better, I'm still willing to spend money. It shouldn't be like Japan, still in the recovery period. It should get better after that, after all. Last year's experience had a huge impact onto many people. The impact won't be eliminated for a while, but in the long run, we want China to continue to prosper, inseparable from letting the rich invest and letting ordinary people spend money. Or the other way around. Ordinary people dare to spend money. Only society has hope. After all, their expenses are other people's income. No one spends money. Others have no money. Sooner or later, it will be transmitted to China. In the end, the consequences will spread inward along the outermost circle. The first to be affected are those who work in self-employed private companies. Then there are state-owned enterprises. Finally, civil servants. But how to get people to spend money? I don't need to say more about this. Mainly, a sense of security is crucial. There is a very bad place in society now, rendering all day long. There will be an atmosphere of big trouble waiting for everyone in the future. I don't know where this personal hatred came from. The aftermath of the COVID-19 that was initially expected has not materialized yet. Instead, such a strange thing appeared. Almost all articles and videos, I advise you to prepare for winter in the coming time. Don't invest, don't consume, don't jump into the system. Who do you think would dare to consume under this kind of scope? But no one consumes. How can the economy improve? You may ask me. So what do you think we should do? I didn't do it either. I can only advise you not to invest, not to consume, not to jump into the system, because once social concepts take shape, just like a train, it's very difficult to turn around. Everyone feels that the economic winter is coming. Maybe it's really coming. Everyone is like this. As an individual, we can only be conservative. Save more money to survive. What else could it be like? If you rush forward rashly, you will end up dead. Speaking of which, some fans may want to ask, is there any solution? I don't know either. Just feel. If we can return to the path of stable development, confidence should come back. Consumption will also increase. The most troublesome thing about promotion is the hike in US dollar interest rates. China's foreign exchange is being siphoned off to the United States. Don't let anyone think about it. Wait until the US dollar interest rate increases in the second half of the year or next year. Foreign trade should be able to take a breather. In addition, I suddenly realized the problem recently. Western developed countries engage in welfare, the operation of sending money to the bottom layer. Maybe we can avoid it, a simple truth. There is no perfect protection system. Maybe everyone will start saving money at a certain point. I don't know how long you will live if China guards against you. So there's no upper limit on how much money you can save. Then consumption can be better. Then there is a crutch. If domestic demand is sluggish, China will have to rely on Europe and the United States. Europe and America don't buy China's stuff. Let's have a problem immediately. In addition, traditional bank loans. The incentives for the rich are getting worse and worse. Money is piled up among the rich and cannot be transmitted to the lower levels. If they don't have money to spend down there, they can't make money in Interstellar. Therefore, it is possible to directly distribute money to the grassroots people. Not a bad idea. Government loans from banks. Give money to people to supplement their purchasing power. Wait until the economy gets better. Reusing taxes can also avoid inflation. In addition, there is the distribution issue that everyone has been talking about. As mentioned above, give money to the people by raising taxes on the wealthy. Now more and more economists are realizing that to overcome future crises, the key is to tax the rich. But I still want to say something. There is no problem at all with the secondary and tertiary allocations. The whole world is doing it. But it must be within the scope of the legal system. Don't imitate India. Otherwise, big troubles will easily occur. Let's sum it up. It should be no problem for GDP to rebound by 5% after the epidemic is released. But the trouble is still obvious. Purchasing power at home and abroad is still too poor. The biggest short-term impact is the US dollar interest rate hike. When will he finish the interest rate increase? China's foreign trade should improve. The long-term key is domestic demand. The key to domestic demand is the sense of security in the hearts of the people. I feel that there will be no big storms in the future. Only when you feel you have something to support will you feel free to spend money. Only with purchasing power can you have everything. This may be something we need to focus on in the future. Thank you, everyone, for watching. If you like it, please add 3 links and follow to support. See you next time.